We're now 4 Republican primaries in, and in all 4, Donald Trump has failed to consolidate the full support of his party. I'm starting to think, and bear with me here, that the guy might not be as powerful as he claims himself to be. In Michigan, Donald Trump took 68% of the vote after taking 51%, 54%, and 60% in the first 3 contests, averaging only 58% support in the entire primary season thus far, which again makes 4 primaries in a row where he's failed to consolidate the full support of his party, which is especially ironic considering the guy bills himself as this great unifier of the GOP. In reality, he seems to be too divisive even for his own base. And keep in mind, we already have the benefit of an apples-to-apples comparison here, in that Joe Biden, in the same state, on the same night, took 81% of the vote. And that was just days after he secured 96% of the vote in South Carolina. So when Trump claims that he's some beloved figure within his party, we don't have to pretend that this paltry showing is somehow impressive when Joe Biden is putting up numbers that are leagues higher than Trump's. And I know I do this kind of coverage after every primary, but it's important to do for 2 reasons. First, it shows that Trump's weakness is a pattern. Part of his appeal to voters is that he casts himself as strong. Instances like this one don't just show, but prove that he's not. It undermines Trump's allure. It gives these on-the-fence voters a permission structure to move away from him, knowing that his whole shtick is a con. Not only is Trump not the strongman that he claims to be, he is the weakest candidate running for his party's nomination in decades. And in the same way that he can barely succeed against Nikki Haley, he also won't be able to succeed running the country. He is a failure, and that is not a movement that anyone should want to be a part of. The second reason is best summed up with this push notification sent out by the New York Times. President Biden won the state's Democratic primary election but faced opposition over his Gaza policy, and Donald Trump easily beat Nikki Haley. So that we're clear, Joe Biden won by a 68-point margin, and yet the Times framed it as facing opposition. Meanwhile, Trump won over Haley by a 41-point margin, and yet the Times framed that as easily beating her. If you don't see what the media is trying to do, then you're not paying attention. The fact is that the media needs drama. They need it to be close. They need it to look like Joe Biden and Donald Trump are neck and neck because they want to sell a certain narrative because it's better for their business. Look, I'm here with the perspective that Donald Trump and the Republican Party are dangerous for this country, and I make zero qualms about making that point known. Most of the mainstream media, however, is more focused on both siding everything than just coming out and acknowledging objective reality. No, Joe Biden's age is not a bigger problem than Donald Trump's 91 criminal charges. No, Joe Biden's age is not a bigger problem than Trump's promises to dismantle NATO. No, Joe Biden's age is not a bigger problem than Trump's threats to deploy the U.S. military into democratic cities. No, Joe Biden's age is not a bigger problem than Trump's threats of mass deportation. This should not be difficult to just come out and say, but the media is so worried about looking biased. Be biased in favor of democracy. That should be a baseline that we all adhere to. If Trump's actions are so antithetical to that, it is okay to call him out without also finding something to attack Joe Biden for. And by the way, Trump knows that. He knows that the media will always equate whatever he does with the left, and he takes that as tacit permission to spew his autocratic bile, knowing that he'll always be graded on a curve by a media that is desperate to not look liberal. He is gaming the refs, and the refs are letting him do it. All of which underscores the importance, in my opinion, of showing you what's actually happening behind the curtain. Donald Trump is weak and his own party is rejecting him. If Republican primary voters recognize that there is a major problem with their party being led by an aspiring autocrat, then clearly the media should be able to acknowledge the same. And the rest of us should be able to call it out for what it is. Donald Trump is dangerous, he is opposed to democracy, and he would end this experiment that the world has looked to for so long. I don't intend to mince my words about that risk, and no one else should be willing to either. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.